Well, what are we fixing today? Well, as you might be able to tell, you can kind of see me. I'm not a ghost. Santa's been good to me. I got a new camera. It's a Brio from Logitech, so it gives me a little bit of picture and contrast, and when I turned it on, I'm like, oh, that's actually green instead of gray and the green screen behind me, and I can actually chroma key that out. So enough behind the scenes. Today we're going to talk about buttons. Buttons are something that was introduced in Home Assistant 2021-12, so December release. It's a new thing. It's an integration, really. It's sort of an entity, but it really isn't. It doesn't have a state like most entities. It has a date when it was last, a date time stamp when it was last pushed, but it doesn't have a state. So it's a weird duck, but it's really handy because you can use it to fire things off. I wanted to show off the button and what it could do, and I was thinking how to do it, and I decided, I have these scripts that are running. When there's a Tasmota update available, it'll update all my Tasmotas at once. I got 35, 3 minutes, it's done. I kind of wanted to show that off too. And also I thought, I can make a restart button, and I also have a what I call a canaries in a coal mine button, where you start that script and it starts up just a few updates. So I take like a fan and a switch and a light and a relay and different things that might break when the update happens, and I just do those first. And I do a minor release of some of the devices. So I push that button and those few update. So I took all these things and I made 3 buttons. I found out that I can use a blueprint to make entities, which blueprints aren't supposed to make entities, but I found a way around it with some help from friends. So let's go see how all that works. Here's the button entity on Home Assistant. This kind of says what it does, and like I said, the button entity is stateless. It doesn't have a state like on or off or anything like that. It just happens sometimes. Whenever you decide to push the button, the state happens. These are some ways that you can use it in your YAML, and I have used this on and off. Pretty cool, like it. And there's a button press service, which we will use. And you can have a device class for buttons. And we will use that. We'll use both restart buttons and update buttons. So my issue was I wanted a nice, easy button way for people to do their buttons. See what I did there with that? The kind of buttons we're actually going to make are MQTT buttons, because I can send an MQTT Discovery statement into Home Assistant to create these buttons. The MQTT button, in addition to the stuff that the regular button has configuration variables. You can do all this cool stuff inside of an MQTT statement, and then the button exists. The button becomes alive. It's alive. So there's examples on how to do that here, but I have a much better, cooler example. Let's go look at that now. This is my GitHub. I've been a busy boy lately. 80 commits in the last this month. 80 commits this month, and it's all either playing with my Home Assistant config, or it's playing with this project and the Blueprints project. So let's go to the HA Blueprints. Let's just look at the automatings quick. You can see, if you're interested in some of these, you can come here. There's one that announces when you open the door and when you close the door. There's one that is a keypad, and I did a video about this, but basically you have a keypad or any kind of thing that's like a button press, a on-off entity thing. You do 5 of them in the right order, and it'll turn something else on. So it's meant to be, you have a keypad and you press buttons, or if you're like doing a safe house thing, or I want to do a puzzle box, or you want to do one of these Yami cubes, you could use this as your lock to open something else. You say, okay, this one's up, and then this one's up, and then, you could do that kind of thing with that. There's also auto fan control, which in the summer keeps me cool at night. It adjusts the speed of my ceiling fan based on the temperature of the room. It runs on a 3-speed fan, like an iFan 03 is what that one runs on. So that's useful to me. I hope it's useful to you. Over here we got one that takes my Broadlink stuff and it kind of makes sense of it, so I can just say Chromecast on, boom, Chromecast off, boom, that kind of thing. This is the ones we'll talk about today, but then there's also a play media file. If you, I do a lot of when somebody rings a doorbell or when the dryer's done and all this stuff, I do TTS announcements, and I like to put a little funny sounder on it. This here basically just does the sounder for you. It stores the media files are stored in Home Assistant in the media folder. I'm using supervised mode, so all of my stuff is kind of around supervised mode. You can make your own way to do this, but you tell it where the file is, and it will play the file. And instead of like a whole stack of code, like 6 things you need to do a media file, this is a script, media file, play Bozo singing or whatever it is. And you got one line, and that's the sounder, and then you come down to the next ones, and one of these two are both the same thing, except one's with TTS Cloud, one is with Google Translate, and it does the same thing for a message. I have a message stored in there. Each iteration of the script, it uses the blueprint to set up a script, and each script it says like, someone's at the front door, someone's at the back door, the dryer is done. So basically when those things happen on my system, I get a announcement, the dryer is done, and I get something funny like, dryers work hard from Christmas vacation, So, I drive my family nuts. What can I say? We're going to look at this one today. I'm going to show you the code first. Here's the code. This is script blueprint code. The title is here. The description is here. And all this description shows up when you make a script. All right. So this is in there to help you and make sure you get the right things happening. And you'll have access to this whenever you after you load the script and try to make one, all this text is in there. Here's where it is, a domain. You have to have 2021 12.0 current revision or newer, current as of this video or newer, because the button entity starts there, and this uses the button entity. It asks for what you want the name of the update button to be, what you want the name of the canary button to be, and the group topic for the canary button, and what the name of the restart is. Now what these are is, update will update all of your Tasmotas. It'll do an OTA update of everything, all of them. Push the button. I got 36 of them or 35 of them. Push the button, 3 minutes, they're all updated. The canary button is, you pick like 3 or 4 your Tasmota devices, and then you push that button, and it'll only update those. And then you give it a day or two, and you check and make sure everything's okay. Once it's working good, then you come up here and push this other button, and it'll just do the rest. The other button on here is restart. Now, restart is handy if something's going weird on your system. You really want to just like, okay, I just restart. It'll just restart all my Tasmotas all at once. Boom, restart them all. Done. It's really cool. This is the meat and potatoes of how you get it all done. Well, as you can see here, this is basically 3 MQTT publish statements, and I'm sending in the configuration for each of the buttons, and that's all the script does. So this script will be one that you set up, you run once, and it's done. After that, you got the buttons. If the buttons break or go away, you can run it again and they'll show up again. But it's not a script that you'll run. You should never have to run it more than once. It creates that button, then that button, and then that button, and it's done. So that's what the script does. Nice, right? So let's look at the docs for this. Go back. EZ Buttons, the .md file is a markdown file. Here's the docs. I have this pretty well documented. The document for setup is longer than the darn script. Here we go. Your broker has to be running, and if you have Tasmota, your broker is running. You need 21.12.0, otherwise it won't work, and the button won't be there. Tasmota integration needs to be installed, and you need to be using it because it does use some of that. You need a group topic of Tasmotas, which is standard. When you flash Tasmota, it's standard. But some of the older ones, if you flash it at like before Rev 7, it's going to have a group topic of Sonoffs. So you get to look in the docs, and if you look in some of my stuff here, you can see that I show you how. You need to go back and find and add a group topic of Tasmotas, and then this will work. Otherwise, the very old ones, the updates do not change that group topic. So you would need to add a group topic. And it assumes that your prefix topic is standard. This one is the standard prefix topic order. It assumes that. You need to be like, so I've set this up so it works like a default Tasmota, basically. If you loaded 9.1 or newer, this is how all this would be. But if you have older ones, you might have to catch up on some of this. And here's to talk about the breaking change thing. So here's some links to help you through some of that if you don't know what to do with your Tasmotas. Some of this will help you get through that. And blueprints and stuff. All right. Now if you want to import the blueprint, I got the button right here. You can just use that. If you want to do it manually, you can do it here manually. But we're going to do the import button. Once you get here, if your screen looks like this, it meant that you've already used this kind of link before. But if you hadn't, it'll ask you if this is your IP address for your Home Assistant instance. All that stays local on your machine. It becomes part of your Home Assistant instance. Home Assistants. Shorten that. See how I did that? Anyway, it knows that this is where I'm going to. Basically, you kind of save this. And you can just go like that and import a blueprint. And you kind of look at this and say, oh, yeah, that's the one I want to do, right? Okay, let's do a preview. And it does a test and make sure it's valid. If something is invalid in the blueprint, it will tell you there and just stop you. You have to have a valid blueprint to get this far. And then we can just do an import. Boom. Done. Now, right here it is, Tasmota EZ Buttons. Now, we're going to go ahead and create the script. Boom. We're going to add an icon, and it comes up with the list. Isn't this awesome? This is new too. So let's do, and you can search too. Let's see. Truck. Dump truck. Let's do a dump truck. just because I can. And the entity ID will be select. You can type something in here if you want to leave this, but if you want to change this, just add a letter, say, or change this text here altogether, and then click another one. Oh, go away. It just takes this and fills this in as the entity ID. So you don't even have to. And it makes it nice and clean. So change this up here in any way from the default, and it will create this field. Once you're done with that, we have the help, the description. And this is the description. Gives you all the rules and the things you need to know, the update stuff. And here it gives you a bunch of text. See, I tend to ever notice that? I tend to talk a little bit too much, but anyway, I don't think you'll ever need more information, but if you need less information, just don't read it all. And we're going to leave this name, just going to leave it. That's fine. The second button, the canary, I gave you the option of, I don't want to do that at all. I don't want to see this button. If you leave not selected here, it won't make that button at all. I want to make that button this time, so I'm going to say Tasmota first. We'll just call that button that. And then this here, if you want this button to work, you have to add a group topic to those select 2 or 3 or 4 Tasmota machines that you want to do the first trial OTA test on. The ones that are, remember I talked about them, the ones that are a sample of your whole system. Each one of them has to have a group topic with this word. So that the word that's in that group topic in Tasmota has to be exactly the same word that's in here. So on my system, first is what I had. So that's what I'm using as a default. And then on this button, I'm going to leave this button alone, but I could change this name too if I wanted to. That's it. You're picking names here, nothing else, nothing hard, no entities, because you're generating the entities. So save script. The next thing is you need to run it, and you're probably only going to need to run it once, so you can run it from right in here. You come over here and do run script. You won't see anything happen. Oh, there it is. Then it ran the script, showed you down there that it ran it, and it should be all done. So now let's go back, and now we can look at over here at the devices button. Now you can navigate this from within Home Assistant, but I found these cool buttons, so I'm kind of showing you what I found, and I thought it was cool. So let's go to devices, and this looks familiar, right? Here we go, and here's our devices, right? So let's now go find the device. Tasmota EZ Buttons device. Here we go. Let's click on it, and look at that. Here is the buttons we just made. Here is some information. This tells you where the firmware is from. This is the GitHub account. So if you need to find the Git and update it or see if there's an update, you can go here. This button is really cool. Watch this. Boom. This takes you to the Home Assistant Blueprint Exchange post for this software. And again, you'll see this. This looks a lot like the stuff that's on GitHub because it is the same stuff. But it's here so that people can find it. Kill that. But that's where that takes you. We have our 3 buttons. These are live. These are happy. Now, if we want to bring these out into Lovelace, here's all we got to do. Add to Lovelace. I'm going to add them to what do you call it? A screen that I have just set up for this. Sometimes I've seen this mess up, so let's see what happens. Next. Okay. Let's see if it got there. Nope. That has always been flaky for me. I don't know why. But let's go. It gets confused and it puts it on the first page. Yep, there it is. Well, as you can see, I pulled in a new tool. This is called MQTT-Explorer. I highly recommend this software. This basically logs onto your broker and tells you everything that the broker knows. All the open topics, activity, what was sent, the last thing sent, some history, all kinds of good stuff in here. If you, for instance, are trying to set up an automation in YAML, you don't remember quite what the topic was, you need the topic exactly. Well, here's all the topics, right? And as you can see, it takes up some of the broker's time, but none of Home Assistant's time. Look down here. These are the buttons that we just imported. These are the 3 buttons. This is what they look like in here. This is the Home Assistant Auto Discovery area topic. So what we're going to do is we're going to roll this up here a little bit so we can see most of what's going on. And we're going to come over here to our buttons. Now they're a little bit off screen, but I want to be able to press the button and then you can see what happens. The top one here is the restart button. So watch what happens. They all get busy. And if we come over here and look in here, this stuff has all become unavailable and it's all coming back. So you can reset the whole kit and caboodle all at once. It gives the little ESPs a little overhead room in their memory and makes them a little happier. And all the stuff is updated. So let's talk about that a little bit. So if we go back to our GitHub over here, we can see this bit of text here. Now all you need to do, this is an automation. So it needs to go into automations. I think I have it loaded, so let's see. Yeah, automation dev and YouTube. And it's right there. Okay, so we're just going to paste that in here. Where is it? We're just going to take this. Now, I know this is a random number on my system. Copy. And then let's go over to here. Paste it in. Something like that. Get rid of that. Now it's happy. Now just to make sure that it's real, I can grab this here, the random number. Can you see it? Yes, you can. Generate a UUID. Boom. Different number. So now I know for sure it's unique. And I just have to reload automations. And then, or reboot, whatever you want to do. This is my regular Lovelace page. So you come anywhere on Lovelace, right? You find a spot in between stuff. So like on the line here, and you click. And basically you're selecting the page. Then you just type the letter C. C. Brings up this menu. Nice, right? Now, it should be already there. Now I want to reload automations. So I start spelling automations. A-U-T. Automations. Reload automations. Boom. How easy is that, right? And you can see some of the automations doing their little dance. There we go. Now that automation is live, right? So whenever that reloaded this. So now whenever my Home Assistant restarts, it'll delay 39 seconds, and it'll push that button. That's how that works. That gives you a nice, clean startup with all your Tasmota devices on restart. Well, that's my video for today. Hope it's helped you out. I really, really love my Tasmota buttons. I think they're awesome. I use them as scripts all the time, and I will use them more as a button just because I have that that thing running in my startup so that the button that gets pushed all by itself. So awesome stuff. Hope this has helped you out. Give me a like if it has. Subscribe if you can. Tell your neighbors, tell your friends. I could use subscribers. If you want to help me out some other ways, if you look down in the description of the video, there's Patreon, there's other things. If I have some more capital here and there, maybe I can buy a few things and do a few more different things on the stream. But as it is, I just kind of fix what I have laying around. If you want to donate something for me to fix, there's an address for you. So thanks for watching. Till next time, careful who pushes your buttons.